Hello everybody, this is at JJ the Mark on Twitter. And what I'm doing is I'm talking real slow and I'm whispering and I don't know why. This is the third time trying to record this because I keep rambling. Makes me angry at myself. Anyway, so this is the day after Survivor Series. If you're watching this a month from now or 3 months from now, this is the day after Survivor Series. So don't go, oh, that couldn't have happened because so-and-so turned heel or so-and-so got injured. No, look, this is the day after Survivor Series and I'm booking as if I have full reign and full control over anything ever in the history of ever right now. Anyway. This is a quantum fantasy booking of WrestleMania 29 from the day after Survivor Series to WrestleMania. Well, not exactly the day after Survivor Series, but just sort of what I think the card should be and how I think they could go about it. Now, this is not my predictions for what the card's gonna be. This is not totally what I'd like to see. This is kept in a little bit of realism. Like, let's just say, for example, I would love to see The Rock and Daniel Bryan. I apologize. I have hiccups. I would love to see The Rock and Daniel Bryan, but I know that there's no chance in hell of that ever happening. So this is kind of, I guess, a realistic take on what I would like to see and what could logistically happen. So let's get right into it. The first match, and I'm going to read out the card as far as order of importance. This isn't necessarily the order of the actual WrestleMania card. Antonio Cesaro will defend the U.S. title against Derek Bateman under the USA Guy gimmick. The Revolution of Ambrose, Rollins, Reigns, and one other person, which I will reveal in the build-up, against another team, which I will reveal in the build-up. Team Hell No will defend their tag team titles against Ray and Sin Cara, Team Rhodes Scholars, and a personal team that I would like to see form, and I think it would work. I do honestly think. I know some people are down on Alberto Del Rio, but I think enough people are high on the other guy that this could work. Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez would become a tag team, and they would challenge for the tag team championships. Eve would go against AJ for the Divas title. Dolph Ziggler would defend his world championship against Chris Jericho. Yes, that Chris Jericho. And Randy Orton in a triple threat match. Ryback would go against the Big Show. I know. Don't pelt me with garbage just yet. CM Punk. Yes. Not BM Punk. CM Punk would go against Kofi Kingston. Sheamus would go up against Brock Lesnar. And in the main event, I almost hate myself for doing this, but there was really just no... I mean, we all know this is where it's going to go. You know, let's be honest about this. Let's be completely honest. We all know where it's going to go. And I think that this is how they should do it. And if they did it this way, I don't think I'd be too angry. The prospect of a rematch doesn't necessarily excite me. But if they did it this way, I think it just may work. It would be The Rock and John Cena in a rematch, but this time, it would be under no disqualifications. And yes, it would be for the WWE Championship. So let's go into the build-up for the U.S. title. After weeks of cheesy vignettes, Bateman would debut the USA Guy gimmick at the Rumble, quickly eliminating Antonio Cesaro, who would already be in the match. He would get a match against Cesaro at the Chamber, but Cesaro would get DQ'd. And then a ruling is made that Bateman gets another match at Mania, and if Cesaro gets DQ'd then, Cesaro will lose the title. So your first match in order of importance, Antonio Cesaro versus the USA Guy, Derek Bateman, for the U.S. title, obviously. In the 8-man tag, that's right, it's an 8-man tag, featuring the Revolution. After a few more attacks on other superstars, all people that Wade Barrett was supposed to face on the night that they were attacked, rumors start coming out that Barrett is the leader after all, considering he led the Nexus and the Core. Barrett says that he isn't the leader, but he will take the help. That same night, Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns attack Barrett and reveal their real leader, who turns out to be Brad Maddox. That's right, that Brad Maddox, the one that was squashed by Ryback. He says now people won't forget him. This attack ends up turning Wade face. He challenges all of them to a 4-on-4 at Mania. I know what you're thinking. Wade Barrett can't be a face because Wade Barrett can't pull it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Believe me. If Miz can turn face, Barrett can definitely turn face. Your argument is invalid. Your imaginary argument that you have yet to make because you're not even talking to me at the moment is invalid. Anyway, moving on. God, I'm rambling. Alright, so he challenges them to a 4-on-4 at WrestleMania. The Revolution accept. The week after, we see Barrett talk to David Otunga, Justin Gabriel, and Darren Young, and they talk about a one-night-only Nexus reunion. However, all of them decline, mentioning how bad Wade treated them in the Nexus, and that they would never team with him again. Wade has a match against Miz, but before the match starts, the Revolution attack. The numbers game are too much. When Gabriel runs out, followed by his own tag team partner, Tyson Kidd, the Revolution run off, but laugh at Barrett and the rest of the guys in the ring. Miz ends up joining Team Barrett, and at WrestleMania, it will be the Revolution of Brad Maddox, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns versus Wade Barrett, The Miz, Justin Gabriel, and Tyson Kidd in an 8-man tag. Tag team and Divas title already went over. There's really not much of a build up there, just generic, Hey, here's a match at WrestleMania. If they're not going to put the effort, why should I? I think those would be good matches, and that's kind of really all you need. You don't really need a build up for those. For the world title, the story here is that Jericho has come back and he wins the Royal Rumble. Ziggler, in the meantime, has cashed in Money in the Bank and wins the title. At the Elimination Chamber, he goes against Orton, but it's a double pin draw. Jericho versus Ziggler is signed, but Booker decides that Orton deserves a shot too, since he didn't lose and Ziggler didn't win. Jericho allows it, saying all he wants is for Dolph to lose the title. So this is kind of like, excuse me for a second. It's kind of like, I just had Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series. That's what I was trying to think of. When he came back to fight Triple H, it's like he didn't really want to beat Triple H. He just wanted Triple H to lose. Like, he didn't really want to win the match. He just wanted Triple H to lose. And this is kind of the story here, where Jericho really doesn't want to beat Dolph. He just wants Dolph to lose. But he'll take the win if he can get it. After Ryback, and this is on to the next match now. After Ryback squashes reigns of the Revolution in December, Big Show loses the title when Dolph cashes in Money in the Bank. It's time for the Royal Rumble. Big Show is in the ring cleaning house when Ryback comes down and hits a few clotheslines, knocking Big Show back to the ropes. Ryback hits a big clothesline that sends Show out of the ring, but the momentum causes him to fall over the ropes as well. A frustrated Show and Ryback, they both fight to the back. Big Show disappears for a month, and when it's time for Ryback to be in the chamber match, more on that later, Big Show knocks him out backstage before the match and takes his spot. Over the next few weeks, the match is signed, and they spend time trying to squash people faster than the other. So pretty generic build-up, but I think it would work. After his loss at the Rumble, even more spoilers. After his loss at the Rumble, Punk is seen walking backstage when Kofi is just standing there smiling at him. Punk and him go back and forth when Punk attacks and security has to break it up. In the chamber match, they're both in the chamber match, by the way. In the chamber, after taking a couple of finishers, Kofi crawls and gets the pin on Punk. When Punk wakes up, he's in shock, and GTS's Kofi, causing him to get eliminated. The match is made for Mania when Kofi now runs down Punk, saying that while Punk was held down in his head, Kofi was too. But Kofi didn't complain and moan about it. Punk responds saying Kofi didn't have the guts to tell the world his feelings, and at Mania, Punk will beat him back into obscurity. CM Punk vs. Kofi Kingston at WrestleMania. In the weeks before Mania, Sheamus grabs the mic and says that for whatever reason, he doesn't have a match, even though he held the world title for most of last year, and had the best. Excuse me for a second. Even though he held the title for most of last year and had the best first year in WWE history. Just then, Heyman comes down to the ring and says Sheamus wants to talk about great first years. Heyman knows something about great first years. Before Heyman can finish, Sheamus interrupts him and challenges Brock Lesnar to a match. Heyman laughs and says, "Be careful what you wish for." The next week after Sheamus wins his match, Lesnar runs down to the ring and hits the F5. He goes to lock in the Kimura, but Heyman says wait until WrestleMania. Later, Heyman mentions how Sheamus will end up just like his hero, broken at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Sorry about that. I think I'm getting a sore throat. So, here we go. The main event. The Rock beats Punk at the Rumble. During this time between the Rumble and Mania, The Rock shows up every now and then, mostly being live via satellite. Cena fails to win the Rumble, but it's announced a number one contender chamber match will happen with Cena, Punk, Kofi, Sheamus, Barrett, and Ryback, who would end up getting replaced by the Big Show. Cena wins, and after a few weeks of back and forth, they're finally face to face. Cena says he took it easy last year. He then shoots and says last year's match sucked and that he knows we can do better. He says this year is going to go down the way it should have last year and the year before that. No pussyfooting around, no rest holds, no headlocks. It's going to be a fight. Everyone says Cena couldn't make it in the Attitude Era, and he's going to prove them wrong. At WrestleMania, it's going to be no DQ. And after WrestleMania, people won't remember The Rock costing Cena the belt at 27 or pinning him at 28. They'll remember Cena destroying The Rock at WrestleMania 29. So this is the order of how I think I'd actually put the matches at WrestleMania. In the first match, Team Hell No, Team Luchador, I guess, Reigns and Cara, Rhodes Scholars, and Del Rio and Ricardo. Team Hell No retain their tag team championships. Eve versus AJ would be next, with AJ getting the hometown win, and the girlhood dream has come true. Next up would be Cesaro and Bateman for the U.S. title, and it would be a quick match, and Bateman would get the win. Not a squash, just it wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as long as the others. It would just be kind of like a 5-minute match. Up next would be the world title match between Dolph Ziggler, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton. Dolph would retain Jericho. This would be his last match, and he would go out with a great match. Not sure who Dolph would pin. I guess Dolph would pin Orton. Didn't really think about that, I guess. Dolph would retain just because I really don't want to see Orton as champion. Even though I'm not high on Dolph, I'm not exactly high on Orton either. As much as I'd like to see Jericho win, I do have to be a bit real about this. And Jericho's probably never going to win the world title again. So, Jericho goes out, has a great match at WrestleMania, and we never see him again. Up next would be Ryback and Big Show, and Ryback would beat Big Show in 2 minutes, even slamming him for the victory. This would also be Big Show's last match, because I don't want to see Big Show again. I really don't. I want him to be gone. And I think if you have Ryback destroy Big Show in 2 minutes at WrestleMania, I think that's a hell of a way to not only go, but to also make a new star in Ryback. The Revolution versus what I'm calling the Barrett Barrage. Barrett, Miz, Gabriel, and Kid. The Revolution would pick up the win, obviously. Barrett and his, gang, while I like most of them, they're not a team. They wouldn't need to pick up the win. The Revolution would need to pick up the win. I'm not quite sure where it would go, but I think, the Revolution are a compact team, and that would help them, and they would pick up the win. Punk versus Kofi. Punk would control most of the match, but when Kofi is in the GTS position, he would slide behind and roll Punk up for the surprise win. It would be that would probably be the biggest shocker of WrestleMania, because going into it, the IWC would be like, Kofi has no chance, and even the marks would be like, oh, Kofi has no chance. Punk's a former champion. But Kofi would pick up the win. Not necessarily decisive. It would leave a little bit of room for doubt. But I think it would show that Kofi Kingston is not to be messed with. He could be the man. Could. if WWE would ever let him. Up next in the semi-main event would be Sheamus and Brock Lesnar. Wow, I can't believe I'm saying that. But again, you have to be realistic. As much as I don't like Lesnar, as much as I'm not too high on Sheamus, but Sheamus is a decent wrestler, you have to predict that Lesnar would be the semi-main event. So Sheamus and Lesnar would be the semi-main event. Not sure how long it would go. I guess it'd be a nice 15 minutes, I guess. Sheamus would win with the bro kick even after Lesnar locks him in the Kimura. Sheamus wouldn't tap to the Kimura. He'd find a way out of it and then bro kick Brock's head off. And I wish I could write that he would literally bro kick Brock's head off, but that would be murder. Can't have that. And in the main event, The Rock versus Cena in a no DQ match. This would go all over the place. Chairs, stairs, guardrails, announce tables would be broken, turnbuckles would be ripped off, everything and anything would be used, and Cena would pick up the win, getting revenge for the last 2 WrestleManias. So yeah, that's my WrestleMania card. That's how it would turn out. Curious to see what your guys' card would be. Curious to see what you think of mine. And maybe in January I'll have another WrestleMania booking if some drastic changes happen. And I will talk to you all later. Remember, on Twitter, at JJTheMark, if you want my opinions, reviews, or anything like that. And I will see you all later.